Hey y'all, welcome back. And this is going to be part 2 of exploring users and user profiles. So in the last part, we created some simple profile fields for the user full name and the user bio. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete this user's profile by adding the picture for her, as well as fill in my own bio as the administrator. And then we're going to use that information throughout the site by editing views. So let's get that started. I'm going to click on Edit on this account, scroll down to where I find the picture. There we are, and somewhere on here I've got a picture that I want to upload. Okay, let me save that. And now I'm going to go edit my own account. So as the administrator, I just go up here to the top and click admin, that's my username, and edit profile. And excuse me for just one moment while I fill this information in. And find a picture of me. I should have planned this. Here, wait. One of these has got to be less than 30K.
There you go.
Let's see if that works. No, too big. Well, you know what? I'm the site administrator here. I'm going to say that we can upload bigger files than 30K. So let's do that real quick, and then I'll come back and fix this. So I'm going to go to, let's see, Manage and Configuration and People, Account Settings, and Manage Fields. And this user picture field was actually created by Drupal out of the box. I'm just going to edit this and modify some of its settings. Your virtual face, what kind of description is that? Okay, anyway, all right. Maximum image resolution, no, don't worry about that. We can fix that later. And maximum file size, I'm just going to make it a reasonable 250 kilobytes. Look at that. Now I'm going to edit my profile and upload any picture I want. So it's just Cal. Perfect. My name, Jonathan Daggerhart. Don't wear it out. And nope, that's a link to the Hangout. I'm going to say, I need more Lipsum. It's always fun to watch a presenter Google. This will do. Yeah, so that's a nice little bio. Let me save that. And so now my user, as well as their new user, April, both have a simple user profile. And so what I want to do now is I want to highlight these profiles in a few ways. On the left, I have this custom block that we made. That's one place I could add it. Let me look around a little bit and see if there's a better candidate. Oh, look at this. So one thing to note about Drupal 8 is out of the box, nodes show one of the user profiles. Let's look at that. So if I go to configure, one thing we haven't looked at is configure, people, account settings, and manage displays. So we have these two displays that came with users out of the box, default and compact. The default display is what we see when viewing a profile here. And the compact display is what we see when we tell a content type to display author and post information. So I'm gonna need to explain some of that. Give me just a moment. So I'm gonna go to Manage, I'm gonna go to Structure, Content Types, and I'm gonna edit just this movie review content type. One of the settings for this content type is here, the display setting, display author and date information. Well, that is actually, I don't have the home page anywhere. I'm gonna need like 5 more tabs open to show this. So the author and date information is this little submitted by the user on what date that is shown. When looking at a post, or a node, excuse me. Let me take a look here. So if I look at this information is shown because of this checkbox. And what it decides to show is this compact display mode. I'm going to prove all of that to you. First, I'm going to uncheck this box, and that'll make all of that author information disappear. Gone. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to recheck that box. And at the same time, I'm going to modify the compact display mode for user profiles. So I'm going to save that. And over here in the compact display mode, I'm going to add full name and bio. I'm just going to add everything because this is just an example. Click Save. Now if I look at that node, basically everything about the author is shown. To me, that is not our desired outcome. It seems fine, sure, but my desired outcome is actually to provide information about this user in another way, and not really here on the page. So for now, I'm just going to edit the movie review content type again, and I'm going to hide that. All of that was just to illustrate where that information comes from. All right, that's better. So what do I want to do? I want to show what movie critic has reviewed these movies over here on the left in this. And to do that, I'm going to have to edit this view that we call, I believe, recent movie reviews. So in another tab, I'm going to go to Structure and Views. I'm going to find that view that I made. There it is. I'm going to edit it. Now this is getting into some nitty-gritty site building here, but I mean, we'll take a look at the results. So what I want to do is I want to add 2 fields to each row in this view. And those fields I want are the author's picture and the author's full name. Let's see if that's available by clicking Add Fields. Our categories do not, there's going to be anything in here.
What about authored by?
So the authored by will actually show the username, but not the actual picture or the field. So let me add that. Let me take a look. I'm going to save that. Let's just preview this view. See, we got the username there, but I want the full name and I want the picture. So what I really need to do is I need to add a relationship. I need to add a relationship to this view where I connect the content with its author. And that relationship is the content author. So I'm going to add that. So that while this view is being built, for each row, it's going to also go get the author information. And I can now add author information as fields. So now that I click Add Fields, I'm actually going to have a category up here called User, which I will select. And now all of our fields for users appear here, such as the full name and the picture. I'm going to add both of those fields to the view. And you'll note that each field actually tells you the relationship here at the top. We're going to keep this simple, so full name, just like that. And the picture, we need to choose I need a much tinier picture than that. But this is the smallest one we have for now. But if I click that, it's going to take me away from the page. So now if I take a look at the preview, we actually see the name and the picture. And I pulled that from those profile fields. So let me clean this up a little bit. I'm going to delete this authored by field. And in another tab, I want a really tiny picture from the user. So I'm going to go to Configure and Media and Image Styles. And I'm going to create a new image style right now in front of all of you live. So I'm going to add image style. We're going to call this Tiny Avatar. And this is just going to scale and crop any picture that uses this image format to something itty bitty like 35 by 35. There we go. So it's very simple. Just added another way. If you haven't seen image styles in Drupal, there's incredibly powerful. So I added a brand new image style that only does one thing, scale and crop. And now when I'm editing this view back in the other tab, I can edit the user picture, and I can tell it to use the image style of Tiny Avatar. Hit apply. And our preview should represent now a tiny, tiny picture of the author. So that looks pretty good. I mean, there's some improvements that could be possible here, but I think that's going to be good for now. I'm going to click Save. So if I refresh this page, we should see it tells us, you know, authored by. I could write in there critic, you know, April, Jonathan, Cal. We could make this look a lot better. The point of this example is not to be beautiful, because it certainly isn't, but to show how now that we've added that data to the user, we can, using views and really other Drupal things, we can go get that data and show it on a field by field basis where we need it. So that's okay. Well, what else do we want to do? Let's see. Keeping in with the essence of showing profile information, let's see. We could make a about more data on any given node. So considering that it's 840, I think that's a great idea. At least that is profile related. So I'm going to go back to the views page, which is actually under structure and views. I'm going to add a new view. And again, this will be a little technical, but it'll show the possibility. So I'm going to call this view about author, and go ahead and just jump straight to saving creating this view. Okay. All right. There's really no way to create this view without it seeming a little complicated. But so one thing I know for sure is I'm going to need that same relationship. I'm going to want to pull in information about the content author. Yeah. And the information, and now I'm going to edit my fields to pull in exactly the information I want about the content author. Remove this title, and what I want is the user full name. I'm going to do full name, bio, and a bigger picture. I missed full name, bio, and picture. Add all these up. So what are we looking at here? This is the bio field. I'm going to set it to trimmed, summary or trimmed. 300 characters sounds fine. Save that field. The full name, just pretty simple. I guess I could link the full name to the user. That seems useful. I'll do that. And the user's picture, which we'll do a bigger thumbnail size. And we'll leave that alone. Let's rearrange this so that it is picture, full name, bio. And now that looks confusing. That's just a list, basically, of all users for content that we're not even showing. But what I want to do is I want to make a block. So I'm going to click Add, Block. And I'm going to give this block a title called About the Author. Apply. And now what I want to do is I want to limit the authors shown to only the node we're looking at. And that is, so normally we add filters to a view using this filter criteria here. But what I'm talking about is a dynamic filter, so that we're going to place this block throughout the whole site. And whatever node we're currently looking at is the node whose author I want to see the information for. So for that, I'm going to use a contextual filter. And I'm just going to click Add next to Contextual Filter. I'm going to search for the, so I need to restrict what node we're filtering. And so I'm going to do that by the content ID, which is surely in here somewhere. There it is, content revision. Is that what we're calling it now?
I don't think so.
Let's go with that. Oh, no, that one, content ID. A lot of IDs listed here. All right, let me add that. Now, contextual filters have to know where to get that data from. So I'm just going to say that I want to provide a default value, and we're going to get it straight from the URL, the content ID from the URL. And I'm going to click Apply. So now my view is set up. I'm filtering only for content that we're looking at currently. I'm pulling in the information from the author's profile, and then I'm displaying the fields I want from that profile. So I'm going to save this, and I believe if we place this block on our page, we should have a really nice About the Author block that we can display throughout the site. So in another tab, I'm going to go to Structure and Block Layout. And we're going to put it just in the sidebar, I suppose. Sidebar first, I'm going to place block. We're going to find our About the Author. Here it is, View. Place that block. I mean, there's only going to be one, but yeah, okay, 10, sure. So it will show up to 10 authors, but that is not going to happen in our case. And I'm going to say show this block on movie review and article, and that's it. A basic page doesn't need a special author. A director doesn't need a special author. That'll work. So I'm going to click Save. And since this is sort of important, I'm going to drag it to the top. If you're unfamiliar with the blocks area of the Drupal CMS, I recommend our previous video where we look at blocks and views. And a lot of this will make much more sense. So let me save our blocks and see if I got it in one shot or if I'm going to have to pick around and fix things. So let's refresh this node. Boom, so we have About the Author. So on this node, the Prestige, the author was our new user that we set up, and we pulled in information about the author of this node. And that block is completely dynamic, so that if I were to go to another node, let's look at Galaxy Quest, boom, we have a About the Author block that is content that is the author of just this node. And since I showed this block on articles as well, we didn't clean up articles, but you also see that this block will show up correctly for article notes. And I suppose there we have it. We have created users. We've looked at general user settings such as what people are able to register on the site, what emails they receive, what other sort of verification you need. We looked at permissions and how modules will provide permissions, and you can add permissions to roles just with those checkboxes under people and permissions. We looked at creating new roles, which are simply just words. A role is nothing more than a concept that you make up in your head, and you make a role important by giving it permissions. We assigned our new user multiple roles so that she could create both articles and movie reviews. We set up user profiles where the user has a name and a picture and a bio, and then we leveraged all that data throughout the site using views and in blocks, so that when we visit any given movie review or article, we have a nice little about the author block that the user themselves can somewhat configure. Any questions? May seem like a lot.
It is.
Yeah, sorry. It's kind of a 2 hours. I can get a lot done in 2 hours.
If it was my belly, it'd be stuffed.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me peel this back a little bit. From this meetup, in my opinion, to learn is that roles have permissions and users have roles. That's it. That's the key takeaway here. Everything else was just fluff. Any other questions or anything anybody wants to see? We never did get that email. I assume it was definitely my environment, my local environment at fault there. All right.
Thank you.
Good job.